Hey everyone, welcome SkillCareer to this video where we're going to talk about JavaScript, what it is, why it's important, and how you can start using it even if you've never written a line of code before. So let's start from the very basics. JavaScript is one of the most widely used programming languages in the world, especially for web development. If you've ever used a website that updates content without needing to reload, clicked a button, and something happened instantly, or filled out a form that gives you feedback while typing, that's likely powered by JavaScript. It's a language that adds life and interactivity to websites. Without it, websites would just be plain, static pages. So while HTML gives structure and CSS gives style, JavaScript gives behavior. And the great thing is, it's built into all modern web browsers, so you don't need to install anything to start learning it. Now, how do you actually use JavaScript? Well, it runs directly in your browser. You can open your browser's developer tools and type JavaScript code right there. But most often, we write it in files with the JS extension and link it to HTML. For example, let's say you want to make a button that shows a message when clicked. With just a few lines of JavaScript, you can make that happen. And don't worry, we'll walk through that soon. First, let's talk about some building blocks of the language. In JavaScript, we use variables to store data. Imagine variables like little boxes that hold information. You can declare them using let, const, or var. These words help the computer understand what kind of variable you're creating. For example, let name equal Alice means we're creating a variable called name that holds the text Alice. If you're not planning to change the value, you can use const, which stands for constant. Then there are different data types, like numbers, strings, which are just text, booleans, true or false, arrays, which are lists, and objects, which are more like data packages with multiple properties. You don't need to memorize all this now, just know that JavaScript can handle many kinds of data, and that's what makes it powerful. Now, let's talk about how we make decisions in our code. That's where if-else statements come in. You can tell your code to do something only if a certain condition is true. For example, if a user types in their age and it's over 18, you can display a message like "You're eligible." If not, show a different message. These decisions help make apps interactive and responsive to user input. Then we have loops. These are super helpful when you want to repeat something multiple times. Let's say you want to print numbers 1 to 10, or check every item in a list. You'd use a loop like for, while, or do, while. These help save time and avoid writing the same line of code over and over again. Loops are a core part of any programming language, and once you get used to them, they become second nature. Functions are another core concept in JavaScript. They're like little machines in your code. You give them input, they do something, and return an output. This is useful when you want to repeat the same task in multiple places. For example, you could write a function that calculates the total price of items in a shopping cart. You can call that function whenever you need to calculate the total again, instead of rewriting the same formula every time. Now let's get to something really exciting: DOM manipulation. The DOM, or Document Object Model, is basically how your HTML page is represented in JavaScript. Using JavaScript, you can select elements on the page, like a paragraph, an image, or a button, and change them. You can change text, hide elements, show them, or even add new ones dynamically. Let's say you have a button that says "Click me." When someone clicks it, you can use JavaScript to change the button text to "Thanks for clicking," or display a hidden message. This is what makes websites feel alive. Another super important part of modern JavaScript is handling events. Events are actions that happen in the browser, like when a user clicks, hovers, types, or scrolls. JavaScript lets you listen for these events and respond. So if someone submits a form, you can check if all the required fields are filled before actually sending the form. That improves user experience and avoids unnecessary errors. Now, what if something goes wrong in your code? JavaScript has something called error handling. You can use try, catch blocks to catch any errors that happen and show a helpful message instead of letting your whole app crash. It's like a safety net for your code. JavaScript has also evolved a lot. Modern versions like ES6 introduced new features like arrow functions, template literals, classes, and modules. Arrow functions are a shorter way to write functions. For example, instead of writing function greet name, return hi plus name, you can write const greet equals name, hi plus name, Much cleaner, right? Let's also touch on arrays and objects again, because they're super important. Arrays are just lists. If you have a list of numbers or names, you store them in an array. Objects, on the other hand, let you organize complex data. Think of an object like a person. It has a name, an age, an address, all packed together. JavaScript lets you loop through arrays, add or remove items, and even filter or sort them using built-in methods. JavaScript is also great for building entire applications, not just small interactions. With the rise of libraries like React, Vue, and frameworks like Node.js, you can build everything from dynamic websites to backend servers and even mobile apps using just JavaScript. But for now, focus on the basics. The fundamentals we're covering here are the foundation for all that. Now, if you're wondering how long it takes to learn JavaScript, the answer really depends on how much time you spend practicing. If you dedicate a little time every day, you can start building your own small projects in just a few weeks. Think of small projects like a calculator, a quiz app, or a to-do list. The best way to learn is by doing. Write code, make mistakes, fix them, and keep experimenting. Another cool thing is, there are tons of free resources online. You can find tutorials, exercises, and projects on sites like FreeCodeCamp, MDN WebDocs, and W3 Schools. And if you like learning through video, subscribe to channels like this one where we break everything down step by step. Let me leave you with a few practical tips. First, practice writing code by hand, even on paper. It improves your understanding. Second, try building one project at a time instead of learning everything at once. And third, join communities on Reddit, Discord, or Stack Overflow, where you can ask questions and get help. So to wrap up, JavaScript is the language of the web. It's beginner-friendly, incredibly useful, and opens doors to many career paths, from web development to app development, back-end services, and more. Start with the basics. Learn how to declare variables, write functions, use loops and conditions, and manipulate the DOM. As you grow comfortable, you can explore deeper concepts like APIs, asynchronous code, and frameworks. And that's it for today's video. If you found this helpful, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who's just starting out. Thanks for watching, and happy coding of our JavaScript journey. In the last video, we talked about the basics, like variables, functions, loops, conditionals, and interacting with the DOM. But JavaScript goes much deeper, and today, we're going to look at some really important concepts that take your skills to the next level. Don't worry, we'll keep it simple and easy to understand. Let's start with something called asynchronous programming. Sounds complex, right? But it's actually a simple idea. JavaScript normally runs one line of code at a time. But sometimes, you want to do something in the background, like fetch data from a website without freezing everything else. That's where things like promises and async await come in. A promise is like saying, I'll get back to you with an answer later. And async await helps us write that code in a cleaner, easier to read way. For example, if you're building a weather app and want to pull data from an online API, you'd use fetch, with await to grab that data and show it to your users. Now let's talk more about APIs. An API is kind of like a waiter at a restaurant. You tell it what you want, like weather data, a list of users, or product details, and it brings it back. With JavaScript, we can call these APIs using the fetch API. That means your website can get live data from the internet without reloading the page. Pretty cool, right? Another thing that makes JavaScript awesome is how it handles events. Events are things like button clicks, form submissions, or key presses. With event listeners, you can tell JavaScript, hey, whenever this button is clicked, do this task. You can even use event delegation, which is a clever way of handling lots of similar events without writing tons of code. And of course, we have to talk about objects and arrays again, but in more depth. These are the real building blocks of your data in JavaScript. Think of objects like labeled boxes. Each key holds a value. Arrays are lists of things. Understanding how to loop through them, update them, and organize them is a huge step in becoming a better developer. In our next video, we'll look at how JavaScript works with modern frameworks and tools. But for now, keep practicing, keep experimenting, and keep learning. You're doing great.